Hey guys, it's Tara back. I wanted to come on here today and talk about my awakening and the continued process and what it has been. It's been challenging because there's times where, even myself, I've questioned like, what is going on, And it's hard to explain. People are like, what is it that's going on with you, Tara? And it's like, well, let me explain to you. And I know I'm not crazy, but there's times where I feel like I'm going crazy. And by the way, that's a common symptom of the awakening process. So what I want to do is I want to retouch on this because I talked about it a couple of months ago when I really was in the thick of it. And I'm still in the thick of it. But I at least am getting used to these different things that are happening. So if you haven't already, please subscribe, please like my channel, and please comment. Listen, if there's somebody that's going through this awakening, or you're having like random, awakening symptoms, Kundalini, symptoms with your different chakras. If you don't understand what's going on in your body, I obviously recommend if there's some serious medical things going on, please see a medical, doctor. Don't sit here and say, hey, I'm good to go. And then something more serious happened. If you feel like you need to be seen by a doctor, please be seen by a doctor. So I want to go into, I looked up what it is to have an awakening, okay? So spiritually speaking, throughout different religions, there's different symptoms that people talk about. By the way, let me point out that not everybody is going to awaken, okay? And that's hard. For me anyways, because I want everybody to see the truth for what it is. It's crazy because now when I look around the world, it is not the same as what it was 6 months ago, 5 years ago, 20 years ago. I have noticed how my eyes have gradually opened along the way, but like in the last 6 months especially, it has been, yeah. I'm glad it didn't happen all at once because I couldn't have taken that truth all at once. So anyways, I want to go into what, generally speaking, like what different religions talk about, so spiritually speaking, with an awakening, they talk about heightened awareness. They talk about disconnection from the material world. Deep inner reflection. Yeah, looking down on the inside there. Increased empathy and compassion, which is why I've had such a huge heart to help other people heal. Like I feel what's going on in other people. It's not just walking in and hearing your story and being like, oh, I feel for you. I can literally feel the emotions that you're feeling before even talking to somebody. It's pretty crazy. Emotional ups and downs. Yeah. Emotional irregularity. That's learning how to navigate those. Fortunately, because I have been on this healing journey for some time, I'm able to like stop. And when I'm having a moment where I'm struggling, I have to just hold on for a moment. Be like, it's going to pass, and then so deal with it as it comes along. The synchronicities. Guys, the synchronicities are all over. And then, of course, shifts in relationships. Once we start growing and once we start, acknowledging like who we really are, we start understanding that there's certain energies and certain people that we just can't spend time with any longer. So then we talk about the Kundalini. So it's similar, but, I guess it's just another way of looking at it. They talk about energy shifts, spontaneous body movements. Yes. Vivid dreams or visions. Yes. Physical sensations. Like I told you, when your chakras start being opened up and cleared and awakened and activated, you're going to get sensations in your body. You're going, I've never felt this before. Changes in breathing. Yep. Sensory overload. Beforehand, listen, I've always been a huge person about going and being around people, and I still can. But I have to be much more aware because now I get a sensory overload, much like a toddler. Take a toddler on an airplane or to the airport. And do you see how they have like that sensory overload? It's like, like it's a real thing. Okay. And I never used to be like that. So I got to take it in increments, temporary health issues. I'm going to talk about one of my symptoms that I had, but I don't get sick hardly at all. I might get an occasional cold or whatnot, but I had a 7-day fever back in January that I can't explain. I've never in my life had a 7-day fever, and there was nothing else that could have explained what it was. So I'm gonna keep going that. Psychic abilities. And then bliss states or ego death. Ego death, wow. When we start realizing, like when we start stripping down who we are, we take away all the titles, mother, wife, and I've explained this in previous things. When we strip all of that down, who are we at our core? And that's ego death, and realizing, how we relate to the real world and how we, yeah. So I'm going to go into what my symptoms have been over the last, I would say most heavily over the last 6 months, but it's, I've noticed things over the years. I believe that it happens in increments and it happens slowly. Like I said, God spoke to me the first time that I remember, audibly inside my head. So not audibly, but it was inside my head, was when I was 16. And so obviously there's been, God, source, the universe has been pushing me along the way this entire time. But, I've had dreams, I've had visions, I felt energy shifts, I've had knowing, like when I knew that I knew that I knew, and then something would happen, I'd be like, I knew that was going to happen. The synchronicities, when I tell you the numbers, animals, plants, I'm telling you, everywhere I go. By the way, I'm in Long Beach, California right now. And even the other day I mentioned in my last video that I had a hummingbird that literally was hovering outside of my window on the fourth story floor. It was crazy. The ear ringing, I'm still getting those. I'm still having the ear ringing. It hasn't stopped. It's constant. And there's nothing wrong with my ears. My ears don't hurt, but the pitch will change depending on where I'm at. Like I was speaking with somebody several months ago, and the conversation got a little intense, and there was almost like a woof in my hearing, and I knew that it shifted. It was almost like my higher self, my guides, if you will, were telling me to back off of the conversation. And I felt that shift in my ears. It was pretty crazy. By the way, I've lost everything and I've distanced myself from a lot of people around me. Why? Why did that happen? Well, some of it wasn't my fault. And some of it was like, I just started realizing that the relationships around me were unsatisfying in the sense that I'm like seeking on soul level, and they are still distracted by this beautiful world around us. And I'm not talking about the physical or spiritual world. I'm talking about the distractions from the media and from indoctrination and from, all the chaos going on around the world. I had dark night of the soul. I've had gray nights of the soul. By the way, I'm learning about all these different things. Gray nights of the soul and dark nights of the soul are two different things. They're similar and they work hand in hand. But yeah, I told you about my fever purge. Physical body sensations. You guys, I can't, this is for people that have already experienced it, because I can't sit here and explain to you what I'm talking about, other than, potential, the goosebumps or the sensations on the head, or, the heavy breathing or different things, the deeper knowing, when you know that you know that you know that you know, and there's no other way to explain it. Just, I know, supernatural abilities appearing, or you remember, it's not about, by the way, I've explained this, and a lot of people are like, only Jesus was able to do X, Y, and Z. And it's going, no, guys, we all potentially have those capabilities, So I've had supernatural abilities start appearing, and I'm not done. I know that there's going to be more that are going to be popping up. And then also the deeper emotions. Man, it's, excuse me. It's been a wild ride, but I just kind of want to go over that. And so if there's anybody that is experiencing some of these things, I encourage you to reach out to potentially, a group near you, or, there's a lot of people around that can be a support. There's different Facebook groups. There's different YouTube channels you can watch. I mean, literally, when I started going through this, I started researching everything. I'm going, what in the hell is going on with me? So anyways, one of the hardest things that I've had to deal with is even my children at this point, because I've tried to explain to them what's going on, because I've always been honest with them about everything. And then we're back to people thinking that I'm mentally unstable, which is okay. I'm going to have to live with that fact, and it's all going to come out in the end. It's all going to be okay. But those are some of the hard things. Last week when I mentioned in my last video that I went through a dark night of the soul moment, it was, my children even think that it's like, Mom, what's going on? Yeah, well, I mean, I'm trying to figure it out all, myself. I can't explain these things, and I've looked it up, and so many people have talked about when they've gone through this change, this awakening, that they feel like they're going fucking crazy. And yeah, I'm in something like that. But I know I'm not crazy. So anyways, I'm going to keep posting. I'm going to keep putting this out there. Hopefully this can be helpful to somebody. If you have questions, please leave a comment down. Please subscribe, like, and share my videos. I'm hoping to put out more content as I go. So I'm in Long Beach, California, and hoping to end up in Las Vegas probably next week. And yeah, I'll be chit-chatting with you guys again soon. Mwah.